Today, we're going to try something new. I've got the latest issue of MMM and we're going to flick through it together. We'll look at some new releases as well as some campervan stories. The idea is to give you a bit of a monthly roundup of what's going on in the campervan industry. Let's get into it. So we'll start off looking at some new models. First one that caught my eye is this Megamobile, which is a Slovenian company who are new to the UK, but the thing that caught my eye in this review is how quiet this van is. Apparently there's no rattles, no noises, in which in a camper van you start to think it's customary. It becomes normal. You drive down the road, the cutlery rattles a little bit, a cupboard door might vibrate. We try and stop them, but it's not always doable. But as we look through, the first thing they talk about is noise, so it must have been impressive. But even the van, it's a lovely layout, huge bed, nice kitchen area. It's a name that most people probably won't recognise, but I think that'll change. A few years you're going to see more and more of these. The side loading door is on the driver's side, which is, I find, a little bit annoying, especially if you're wild camping, you're going to stop at the side of the road, because obviously you're going to be getting out into the road. But other than that, if you're going to be on campsites, it doesn't matter at all. But it's a really nice van. It did start to rack up on price a bit. It gets to, well, the tested van was £90,000, I think. Started at 75, which for the size of van is actually quite reasonable, but the optional extras soon add up. So the next one that caught my eye was the new Transit by Lancia. Now Lancia, I know I'm talking about Lancia, they're a really good company and I've seen multiple of their conversions and they are top level. The fit and finish of them is fantastic. The other good thing about them is they use really good quality named products inside the van, which means the conversion is going to be reliable, it's going to work, and you're going to know you can trust it. But this new model that they've done, they've updated it for 2026, this model's for. The thing that caught my eye first, you can have it as a 7-seater. So it's got a sliding rock and roll bed in the back, and then you can put 2 extra seats in if you want. So you have 2 in the front, you have 3 on the rock and roll bed, and then 2 in the rear. So if you want to use it as your everyday car, and you need all the seats, it can still work, but then you can take the seats out and they just bolt out because they're on rails. And away you go. So you can see here how much space is in the back, that's where the seats go. And there's some really neat features in it as well. A little pull-out drawer there. It doesn't take up much space, it's not very wide, but you can get all sorts in it. If you are looking for something this size and this budget, which I think budget-wise it said from 77,900, obviously you'll probably end up putting a few extras on, you're probably going to be at mid-80s, which does sound a lot of money for a transit camper van, but the base vans are expensive and these conversions, they are top quality. But this review, it's a really good review. It's by Peter Vaughan, who's probably the best and longest standing writer for MMM and in the campervan industry. And he actually uses vans this size as well as he got on himself. So it's really interesting. It comes from a user's perspective as well as just a journalist. So it's really worth reading this. There's all sorts of features. It tells you what you can have, what you can't have, what's good about it. But essentially just the spec's really good. The finish is really good. And the warranties and everything are brilliant too. The good thing about this as well, they based it on the Tornado rather than the Transit, which is the people carrier version, if you like. And that means you get all the benefits of the car side of things. So you get roadside assistance. If you're stuck, they'll put you in a 4-star hotel for up to 5 days. Like the backup for it is brilliant. So it is a really good van, that, and it's worth checking out if that's something that you are in the market for. Like I say, Lancia are getting a name for doing really top quality conversions. So the next one that I found, that we'll just quickly gloss over, is the new Auto Trail. Now, this is their entry-level range, which means price-wise, really quite competitive. So they started from sort of just over 50 grand, based on the Ducato size van, which is obviously very popular as a camper van size. It's on the larger size of conversions. What we will find in these issues is there's all sorts of different things in MMM. It goes from micro campers all the way to the big motorhomes. Now, being this is Vanlife with James, we're going to stick to the van-sized vehicles, so we'll ignore the motorhome section, if you like, and we'll stick to the van size. So this is probably as big as we're going to look at. But the Ducato is a great base van. We've covered that multiple times. Auto Trail do a really nice conversion. They've been around years, a long time. So you know you've got a sort of well-backed company that are going to be around for a long time. But they've also got the experience. Here you see the drop-down beds here, the nice seating areas. My view of them personally is inside, they're still a little bit old-fashioned, but then a lot of people love them. But that really is personal preference and style. As the owner of Drive Lodge, I'd be daft not to mention it here. We're a family-run business specialising in safe, reliable and ergonomic roofs. For more information, click the link in the description. Which brings us on to the next thing that I found, which is the new range from Swift. Now, Swift mainly did caravans for a long time, moved into campervans a few years ago, but obviously they've got the know-how. Building caravans and campervans is very similar. And this talks about their new range. But what really caught my eye was the internals. You look, everything's very modern inside. There's greys, blacks, whites. It all looks modern, sleek. I really like this design. Now again, that's personal preference, but you know you're going to get a good quality conversion. And if this design style is something that you're after, you don't actually see that many that go down the super modern design features. So it certainly would be worth looking at if that's something that you're interested in. The last of the new campers I've picked out is this VW it's a T6.1. Now, most new campers that we see are based on the T7 or the new Transit Custom, which obviously share a platform. This is from Incline. It's the Incline Campers Adventurer, and the fit and finish of them, I have seen these at a show that I went to earlier the year at Newark, and the fit and finish was lovely. But they also are still trying to build new campers on the T6, the T6.1, at really competitive prices. Everything in it is, well, you can tell it's been designed by somebody that actually uses a camper, which is someone that's been around campers a long time. You can tell quite instantly, but it's very telling, and a lot of people will buy a van that's been designed by someone that's never used a camper, and all of a sudden you've nowhere to put a cup down when you're making a brew. There's nowhere to put any rubbish. There's practicalities involved that when you're designing a camper you need to think of that you probably wouldn't if you've never used one. So companies like this that you can tell use the vans themselves, they're brilliant. It's got bamboo worktops, it looks nice, modern again, and it's a really nice van with a lot of nice little features. I haven't actually had a chance to speak to these guys, but from what I see from the socials, they are really, really enthusiastic about what they do and they really care, and that comes through in the products. So we'll flick back now. That's it for new vans. But one thing I did pick out was in the question and answer section. Something that has been brought up on my channel on the videos where I've mentioned the Transits is the wet belt. Now, for anyone that has a Transit, has thought about a Transit, you've probably heard about the wet belt issues. And someone brings it up here in the questions. As they call it, the base vehicle expert has come here with an answer. And in fairness, it's what we've all been saying. The engines are great, the wet belts are fine if they're looked after. And the main problem, from what people can tell, is which oil's been used. If someone's used the wrong oil or not changed it regularly enough, then you're likely to have problems. But that can also be the garages using the wrong oil. So it is worth checking. What that does mean is if you're going to buy a used Transit, camper or van to convert, be wary of the service history. Make sure it's been done by a reputable garage. Assuming it's had regular oil changes every 12,000 miles, you're not going to have any problems. But it is obviously an issue with the Transit, and if it does go wrong, it's expensive. Also, if you do have a Transit, make sure you change your oil regularly. That £300-400 bill for a full service is going to seem like peanuts when your wet belt goes and it's going to be a new engine at £4,000 or £5,000, which is what it is, and it's not cheap, and it's a big job. Your van will be off the road for a while. So it's just worth remembering. It's really interesting right up here. If you want to find out more, read the answer that Nick Fisher has written. It is quite interesting, and it sort of outlines what to be wary of. So obviously, that's not everything in the magazine. It's a magazine full of really interesting articles, and it's worth a read if you get the chance. If you've liked this style of content, let us know in the comments, and we'll try and make it a monthly thing. Ciao for now.